everybody, welcome to Universal Sports Draft Edition. My name's Jake Serrano. Alongside me is Jack Kroll, Jake Sullivan, Patrick Zuccarelli, Owen Tracy, Jake Morales. We got the whole gang here today, ready to rock and roll and talk some sports while they're over on Zoom. We got a little virtual podcast going. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question for our first segment. We're going to be talking first round draft recap. So who do you guys love, hate? I'm going to start with Jack. Who do you guys love, hate in this first round of the draft?
So actually, this might surprise you all. As of right now, as a Jets fan, I was very disappointed when the Jets did not draft Jerry Jeudy, as you all know. But I was going over it and thinking about the draft. I was really happy when the Jets, now that the Jets drafted Mekhi Becton, because again, he's a really great run blocker. And last year, we had the second worst offensive line in the league next to Cincinnati. The fact that we're going to be able to give Le'Veon Bell a lot of room to run and also Sam Darnold comfort in the pocket and his ability to just be himself is going to be tremendous for him. And then also another pick that I absolutely loved was Isaiah Simmons to the Arizona Cardinals. I know a bunch of Giants fans were very unhappy about not drafting him. I think he's one of the best players in the draft because of just how versatile he is on defense and how he can play so many different positions. The one of the picks that just didn't make any sense to me was Jordan Love going to the Packers because I don't know why you would do that considering you were just in the NFC Championship last year, and really all they really need is for their offense to really have a great year is to give Aaron Rodgers another receiver, which I don't know why they didn't do that. And then another one I was iffy on was believe it or not, I'm not huge on Chase Young. I don't think he's going to be that – I don't think he's going to impact the Redskins that much. I think they should have went more into their secondary just because they're a team that is really struggling, and I don't see them really getting better with just having Chase Young on their team.
Right, I agree with Simmons. I actually have him on my love board. I had on my mock draft, I actually had them flipped. I had Brown going to the Cardinals and Simmons going to the Panthers, and those are both actually my love picks. I like Simmons going to the Bucs because they tried to the Cardinals. They tried a couple of years ago, and they got Deion Buchanan, kind of a versatile hybrid player when they had Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles, and in that division with Russell Wilson, a very mobile quarterback, you need a guy like that to be able to range across the defense. And for Derek Brown, now you have, and the Panthers, now you have Tom Brady in the mix with Drew Brees and Matt Ryan. All these guys are pocket passers. They don't move around much. So Derek Brown in the middle of that D line is going to solidify that and be able to get a big rush in the middle because Tom Brady does not like that rush up the middle, guys. So, I could totally see Derek Brown flourishing in that Panthers defense. And the pick I didn't like, and I don't know if you guys saw my mock or not, I didn't like Tua going to the Dolphins that early. I thought they should have waited out. I don't know what the circumstances would have been. They probably could have got, and the Giants got Thomas from Georgia, and then the Dolphins picked up later USC tackle. I thought they should have went O-line first, and then maybe if Tua was able to slip, they trade back up because they had 3 first-round picks. Now, I did like the corner they picked out at the end of the draft. They have some dirty corners, 3 corners, in Noah, Howard, and Jones. That's going to be a really good corner man defense. It's going to be interesting to see, but I didn't like Tua going there, and I talked a lot about with you guys, his injuries. His injuries plagued. He had 7 surgeries over in Bama. It's just tough to foresee how long he'll be there, and I just can't see it. Another pick I didn't like, and this might surprise you guys, this was one of my surprise picks, Jayvon Kinlaw to the 49ers. I was just surprised they got him. They got rid of DeForest Buckner. I completely understand that. And then you go ahead and get Jayvon Kinlaw. I figured, you might as well just sign Buckner. If you were just going to – I thought they should have just drafted a wide receiver, and they ended up doing that later in the round. But, I just didn't understand why they got Kinlaw up. I think when they traded back, I think it was 14. Why they got him so early? That was surprising to me. They every year for the past 3 years now, they've drafted a defensive lineman in the first round. So I mean, that was just ridiculous. To me, it surprised me. And in this draft, it's been crazy. There was 4 quarterbacks, 7 offensive linemen taken, 6 wide receivers, and 6 corners in the first round. So I mean, those were my picks. Sullivan, we're going to go to you.
Okay, so for 2 picks I love and 2 picks I hate, and then a surprising pick. The first one that I love is Henry Ruggs with the Raiders. After the Antonio Brown incident last year, I just feel like the Raiders were just desperate for a star wide receiver. And I feel like Henry Ruggs is just suitable for just being with the Raiders. And I just feel like that just the general manager, Mike Mayock, just made a great decision. Though Ruggs put decent stats, I feel like his speed is just going to confuse just the whole defense and just put him in a whirlwind. And he just reminds me of Tyreek Hill a bit just because of his speed. And another pick that I love is T. Higgins with the Bengals. Higgins was first pick out of the second round, and I feel like the Bengals are going to be this new hip young team that's either going to change the NFL or they're not. It's just going to be a whole flop and a big disappointment. And I feel like this Clemson alumni has dynamic and elite skills that can top half of the wide receivers in this league. And the picks that I hate, well, not hate, but I just dislike is C.J. Henderson with the Jaguars. I'm a bit neutral. I mean, I don't despise it, but I'm not in favor with it. I don't think picking a cornerback is the best way to go, but because I feel like the Jaguars are
He's Zook's ready to combat that.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's people think it's a good pick. I'm not saying that I don't like it. I mean, Jaguars, I have a very unpopular opinion, but in my opinion, I feel like C.J. Henderson, I feel like that is –
Where do you think they should have gone with the 9th pick overall?
I don't know, to be honest, because I feel like that is a good option, but at the same time, I feel like they should have went with maybe a cornerback. I mean, I'm sorry, maybe a wide receiver or someone in the O-line. I mean,
yeah, they did get rid of Lee, so I mean, they don't have a quarterback either. I mean, Minshew mania. We don't know how long that's going to last.
You know, I was kind of like a big fan of Minshew, and I mean, I hope he has better stats for this year. And I just feel like Henderson is a good pick, but at the same time, I was a bit surprised. That's kind of like a surprise for me a bit because, I mean, I thought the Jaguars might have went more offensively. Jack mentioned about this before, is Jordan Love with the Packers. I'm just going to keep it simple for this one. We're in a post-Aaron Rodgers era as of right now, and I feel like this is a big pressure for Love, especially carrying the dynasty for the Packers. And the real question is, can Love be the next Aaron Rodgers? Can he lead this Packer team? Does he have it? Like, can he actually lead the Packers for like the next 5 to 10 years? We don't really know because he can be this dynamic quarterback, and he could possibly lead them to the NFC North Conference or NFC Championship. You never know because it's football, but he could be an absolute flop. Like, he can just he's just not the right quarterback, and I feel like that was just too sudden of a pick for the Packers.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna disagree with you on the Henderson. I actually had in my mock draft going 9 to the Jags, and I like them going there. You know, he's a Florida kid. They lost Boye and they lost Ramsey, so they needed another kind of nit-grit corner to get in there and to get the job done. And on Love, you know, it was interesting to see them pick up Jordan Love. They were talking about how they did the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre was there, but you know, you got to imagine how is Aaron Rodgers feeling right now. You know, he needs weapons. You know, it's not like last season they didn't make it to the championship game. You know, that they're a good team, and they need more help. And I think Aaron Rodgers got a little more in the tank. He's not what he was before, but he's got a little more in the tank. And he's probably not thrilled about getting a quarterback when he really needs the help.
The thing with the Jaguars is I honestly was expecting them to get Jerry Jeudy. I thought that they were going to get a receiver, considering they had Alden Robinson leave a couple years ago. They really don't have that many weapons besides obviously Leonard Fournette, and who knows where he's going to go. So
they were talking about trading him to the Bucs.
Yeah, exactly. No one knows where he's going to wind up going. So I honestly thought they were going to get some offensive weapons. And then obviously, again, like I said before, I really wasn't a huge fan of the Jordan Love pick. And yeah, they did do the same thing with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. But right now, you got to keep Aaron Rodgers happy if you're the Packers, because he just got you to the NFC Championship game. Granted, yeah, you did get blown out by San Fran, but you were right there. And they were honestly only a receiver away, I think they were a receiver away from going to the Super Bowl.
All right, Patrick, what are your thoughts?
So the two biggest picks that I loved, of course, CeeDee Lamb to my Cowboys. I couldn't believe he fell as far as he did in the draft. I expected him to be top 15 pick. It really did surprise me with how far he dropped. Like, I think he's the better receiver over Ruggs. I think he's a better so I agree with Jeudy getting picked over him. I think that Jeudy should have went where Ruggs went. And I agree with the CeeDee Lamb pick for the Cowboys. A lot of people were surprised. They thought they were going to go with the safety from Alabama just because it's a big team need. But I just think they're more focused on building a powerhouse offense in order to get Dak Prescott maybe like to be a little bit more lenient in contract talks, because then he's surrounding himself with all these all-stars. I wouldn't say all-stars yet. We don't know. He's just a rookie. But all these like solid players. So he's going to look better. And then maybe for the next year's contract, he could get signed to an even bigger contract if they just sign him to like a 1 year this year. And then I really loved the Chargers picking Justin Herbert. I just think he's an absolute stud.
Yeah, I'm repping the Oregon for him.
I love it. I personally think that he'll end up being a better pro quarterback than Joe Burrow. I just think he has everything that's needed. And a lot of people are going to agree with that. That's really, really bold. But if you look at his junior year and senior year consistency.
No way.
If you look at his junior year and senior year consistency and the games he played, no injuries, just complete balling out numbers. Like, incredible. He had 29 touchdowns, 28 in his junior season, 32 in his senior season. Sure, Joe Burrow had more, but it's about build and stuff like that too. Herbert's 6'6". 6'6". No offensive line. He's going to have no problem seeing over the offensive line. No problem throwing with someone in his face.
5'11".
That's one in a lifetime on. And then the two picks I didn't like were Tua, injury prone. That's all I'm going to say is injury prone. Owen knows how I feel about this because all these Eagles fans hype up Carson Wentz, right? All he does is get hurt. 0 playoff wins by himself. I think we're going to see that with Tua. Great regular season quarterback when he plays. But what are the chances of him staying completely healthy? Slim. And another pick I totally just cannot believe this happened was Clyde Edwards to Kansas City.
You don't like that? You didn't like that pick?
Deandre Swift, better running back, more consistent, played every single game, never missed a game for injury. He had 2 1,000-yard seasons. Clyde only had 1. And sure, he did have, I think it was 16 touchdowns. Yeah, 16 touchdowns this year, which is incredible. But I just think, and we know what Georgia produces at running back. We see it in Michelle. We see it in Gurley. They produce studs. And Chubb. So why wouldn't you go with one, Swift, who's more consistent, and 2, you know that he comes from college where they produce absolute studs. And then I don't know if a lot of people are going to agree or disagree with this, but my surprise of the draft was New England trading down like they did.
Good.
I thought they were going to take Love with their pick.
No,
I think a lot of people
trading
thought they were
down,
going to take Love. We were in our group chat talking about how they might trade up for Love, but instead they had the option and they still traded down. But looking into it, they actually completely won this trade because they got a 2nd and a 3rd round pick. They now have 13 picks in the rest of this draft. We all know what Bill Belichick does with his draft picks. It doesn't matter what round it is. He's going to draft a stud. And out of those 13 picks, 4 of them are 3rd round picks. So the 3rd round is all his. he can basically do what he wants and set himself up for success just in the third round.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you on the Patriots. Not so much surprise, but yeah, it was a really good deal for them. And they do, last year they picked, was it wide receiver Harry or Harris? And he hasn't really, he hasn't really panned out to be what they wanted him to be. And they've done better in the later rounds anyway. And they usually trade down regardless. So on the fact of CeeDee Lamb, yeah, I think that's a great pickup for the Cowboys. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Does that bolster the Cowboys to a playoff run? And how much better are they really with CeeDee Lamb? But yeah, I thought that was a great pick as well. And I actually like Edwards-Helaire. The way he explodes out of the hole, it's incredible the way he runs. But I totally agree with you on the fact that there was Taylor, Dobbins, and Swift on the board, and they went with Helaire. So it was interesting to see that pop up as well. So I agree with you on all your points there. So Owen had some stuff to say. Yeah, Owen, it's your turn. You had some stuff to say. Go ahead.
Well, I would watch out for the Patriots taking James Morgan from FIU in the third round. I really like that kid. I watched him in the combine, and I didn't see him miss a throw. So Bill Belichick probably has his eye on him. All right, but my love of the draft is Tristan Wirfs he's going to Tampa Bay to protect Tom Brady. I saw that guy jump out of a pool. That's pretty crazy for a 300+ pound man jumping out of 4 feet of water. And I saw him put some pancakes on the highlight reel too. I just really like that pick. And then I'm agree with Patrick on my second love of the draft with Justin Herbert. I'm not going to go as far as saying he's better than Joe Burrow. That's a little insane. But I think he's better than Tua. I'm not high on Tua. I think he's injury prone, like all you guys said. And my saying is, what's your best ability or availability? I mean, comes with Carson Wentz. I mean, I wish he was healthy, but Jadeveon Clowney, that was a cheap shot. I'm not going to get into that. But then we're going to go with my hates of the draft. I'm going to say Andrew Thomas going to the Giants. They could have picked the second best player defensively in the draft, and they could have picked any offensive lineman or any offensive tackle, and they got the third or fourth worst offensive tackle in the draft. I don't understand what that pick was. It was a little shocking to me. And then my second hate was Jordan Love. I love Jordan Love, but going to the Packers, I just don't see that. They won 13 games last year, and if they got another receiver to help Rodgers or just O-line boost it up, I think Rodgers could benefit off of that. And they were in top 4 teams last year, so they need one more boost to get that extra level and possibly win the Super Bowl. So I really don't know where that pick was going. And then lastly, my surprise pick was CeeDee Lamb, because the Cowboys, they got 2 solid wide receivers. I think they need to make improvements on other spots of the ball, looking at that safety from Alabama. CeeDee Lamb, to me, I think the Cowboys may have done it to just screw over the Eagles because they knew the Eagles needed a wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb probably would have been there at 21. And then the Eagles kind of picked Jalen Reagor, who is I'm kind of shocked at that pick. That was a little bit of a surprise as well. But yeah, that was a little crazy.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of good. Before we get to Jake, there was a lot of great offensive linemen that came off the board in this draft. So I mean, it was insane the amount of protection a quarterback needs in this draft. 7 offensive linemen went off the board. All right, yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
So I was looking last night at Adam Schefter, all of his tweets and stuff, and he tweeted about this Jordan Love pick, and his tweet says, "Am I trading up to draft Utah State quarterback Jordan Love? The Green Bay Packers put 36-year-old Aaron Rodgers on the clock." So is he inferring that they may trade him or that if he doesn't perform, that he'll end up being the backup? Like, what do you think he's implying with that tweet?
I think he's just saying that Rodgers probably has only 2 or 3 years left in him. And think about it. Rodgers learned from Favre, and they're going to continue that with Love learning from Rodgers.
That's a good point.
All right, Jake. Jake, I know you got some stuff to say, so go ahead.
Saving the best for last. First things first, I'm going to go biased and say my favorite pick was Andrew Thomas to the Giants. I was very angry at first because I wanted Wirfs from Iowa. I keep laughing at him. But we finally got our blind side for Daniel Jones. We have a top 10 receiving core. I don't care what you say. You can make it to the playoffs with Slayton, Shepard, and Tate. We have the best running back in the league. Jones can spread the ball out. The fumbling issue should be gone with. And I think he just solidifies. He gives Daniel Jones 2 to 3 seconds to throw a football, move Nate Solder to the right. We have a great guard, Molt Hernandez. And what I'm about to say is very controversial. The New York Giants are going to win the NFC East in 2020. And, yeah, laugh. Just, yeah, there's PG there.
That's a little bold.
It's bold, but.
Top 10 receiving core, imagine.
Yeah, Slayton, Shepard, and Tate. Yeah, keep laughing. But a pick that I also really liked was our receiver, Jerry Jeudy to the Broncos. The Broncos had a very strong finish to the end of the year. Drew Lock was really emerging as a franchise quarterback. Cortland Sutton is a proven stud. They have 2 great pass rushers in Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. And to give Drew Lock the best receiver in the draft, that'll really help him mature and mold as a quarterback because John Elway has his prototype, and they haven't worked before. Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian, Case Keenum, they haven't worked, but Drew Lock really looks like he's molding in to possibly a next John Elway, Peyton Manning type quarterback. I'm not saying that he's that level, but he's molding into that type. And one pick that really just I don't get was Jayvon Kinlaw to the Niners. They traded an all-pro defensive lineman to Indy for that pick, and I feel like you really could have got him at 30 or 31, wherever they picked. They could have got him there. He's not that much of an elite pass rusher. He hasn't proved himself yet. And you had Jerry Jeudy right there. And after losing Emmanuel Sanders, that would have been a great way to refreshen the receiving core and get just some elite skills and route running for Jimmy Garoppolo through. Yes, Deebo Samuel is a great target. George Kittle is arguably the best tight end in the league. But you got
Morales.
Yeah, what's up, Pat?
Do you think maybe they went with that because they now have 3 young wide receivers who can all be something special in this league? You said Cortland Sutton already, right? But Deshaun Hamilton, he's another one who can just take off at any time.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
tall. He has speed. I just think they have 3 solid receivers, all under the age of 25.
Yeah, Denver's going to be a team to watch next year, and they're going to – if you ask me, they're the biggest threat to Kansas City from that division. And one pick that I just don't get, Jordan Love to the Packers. There was going to be quarterbacks there the way they were picking. Jalen Hurts might have fell. Jake Fromm might have fell to them. And what's his face, that guy? I forgot, but he'll come back to my head quickly. Eason. But Rodgers needs weapons. Like Jack said, they were a good receiver away from going to the Super Bowl. They dominated that division when no one said they could. Aaron Rodgers is still a top 5 talent in the NFL. And it just makes no sense to me. I get it. Matt LaFleur wants his prototype because Aaron Rodgers is older than the head coach. And he wants a guy who he can mold into an elite quarterback. And we saw this play out 15 years ago, but Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love are 2 completely different quarterback prospects. Jordan Love has that boom or bust prospect like Patrick Mahomes. He's a gunslinger. He likes to sling the ball down the field. That's either going to work really well or he's going to be out of the league in 5 years. It's all just depends what Matt LaFleur can do with him. And a pick that definitely surprised me was Isaiah Simmons falling all the way to the Cardinals. And Isaiah Simmons is starting to scare me. And the Cardinals are starting to scare me. Cliff Kingsbury managed to get the best receiver in the league without giving up a first-rounder. And he used that first-rounder for arguably the best defensive player in the draft. Arizona is going to be a team to watch. Kyler Murray is going to be an elite quarterback for a long time to come. Kenyon Drake is a great running back. He's a great complementary piece. And the Cardinals are definitely going to be a threat in the NFC.
Definitely, the Broncos and the Cardinals are going to be two teams to watch next year that could be underrated right now. Kyler Murray and Drew Lock are two up-and-coming quarterbacks in this league, so that's going to be really interesting. And the Broncos are loaded up, and so are the Cardinals. DeAndre Hopkins went to the Cards as well. So, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see. That's going to be incredible. I mean, the NFC the NFC West. The NFC West is going to be amazing. I mean, that's going to be an elite division. The only team I could see that's probably not going to be maybe high level to say would be the Rams, because they lost a lot of pieces, but they still got Golf, and they got McVay. So, I mean, we'll see what they can do.
And Jake, which is insane, because remember when I went on the show a couple years ago, the Extra Boy, and I was all hyped for the Rams. I thought they were going to be the best team in the league, and they were the best team in the NFC in 2018, and then everything just went downhill. Sean McVay is still an offensive mastermind, but Gurley, it's a tragedy because he was the best back in the league for 2 years, and now he's I think he maybe has 2 years left. I think that he's done for, and it's upsetting because he had such a very high ceiling.